I'm going to read an actual Cloud's super chat because I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect for this segment. An actual Cloud says, I'm thinking we should have an elevator pitch that we know by heart as to why the GOP is an existential threat to democracy. I don't even think we need to add in those last two words. There's plenty of people that don't even care about democracy. They're just an existential threat. I'm going to go even farther. You could be the person, the one person they've decided they're going to help. You might be the token citizen that a GOP, let's say congressperson, picks out that they're going to help. And any involvement they have with your affairs is still going to be more dangerous to you than if literally anyone else is in charge. Because the GOP, down to a man, literally every last one of them, is either evil, incompetent, or both. Usually both. There's very few exceptions where they are anything but incompetent. They are all basically, as far as I've seen, evil. But I leave open the optimistic. Leaves open the possibility that there's such a thing somewhere as a non-evil member of the GOP. They literally are just so gullible. They fell for their own party's lies. But regardless, then they're definitely incompetent because no member of the Republican Party is able to run anything. I advise you, when you're talking to other folks, make it clear that they are incompetent. I know, they're either evil or incompetent. It's shocking, it's depressing, but the fact is, massive chunk of America knows how evil they are. Doesn't care. And at this point, if they are still voting for these monsters, the evil might even be part of their appeal. Don't bother talking about that. Also, it's worth noting, your definition of evil and their definition of evil probably going to change. But incompetent, that we still agree on. That we agree. The primaries are when you vote for something in America in 2024. And the general is when you vote against something. If you have someone you want in office, vote for them in the primary. If you have someone you firmly believe should not be in office, the general is when you deal with that. This year, everyone should vote against Republicans. Set aside, when you're talking to people for your elevator pitch, set aside how staggeringly evil these creatures are and just appreciate how incompetent they are. Here's a quick list. Here's your elevator pitch. Republicans cannot run anything. They are all idiots. George Bush, I know, all evil or incompetent, but it's an elevator pitch. So sum it up. Republicans are incompetent. George Bush panicked on 9/11. He got us into a 20-year war over a lie. He bungled the relief efforts for natural disasters, and he crashed the economy. Obama fixed the economy, and then Trump undid the regulations that saved us, and now the price of homes is just about back to what it was right before the 2008 crash. You can do this in any state. Literally anywhere there are Republicans, you can show examples of this. Give one-sentence examples. In Michigan, we had a Republican governor called Rick Snyder before we sobered up and elected Whitmer. And that guy poisoned the entire city of Flint. He ruined their drinking water, embarrassing our state in front of the world. Al Jazeera was doing articles on how many years it had been since Flint's water was poisoned by Governor Snyder. Again, not because he was trying to poison them and embarrass himself. He wasn't. I'm sure he didn't care that there's kids that are going to have short, cancer-filled lives because of him. I'm sure he doesn't care about that, but he wasn't trying to embarrass himself. He's just incompetent because he's a Republican, and Republicans are incompetent. And by the way, pause in this for a second. They're incompetent for the same reason they're evil. People with embarrassingly negative traits, people with traits that ensure they cannot win through an honest discussion, group together. And the evil ones love the incompetent ones because they know they won't be judged for their evil because the incompetent ones are just glad to have a pal along, vice versa. They can't make it anywhere else. It's the party of crooks and losers. Here's Forbes, famous lefty rag, explaining what the consequences are of Greg Abbott's recent actions. See, Texas has a Republican governor named Greg Abbott who ruined the power grid in the whole state. When the weather gets bad these days, Texans have to hope their power stays on. That's the emergency plan. Fingers crossed that the power doesn't shut down. And because Greg Abbott thinks so little of them, because he's both evil and incompetent, he pressed the power companies to keep prices high. Here's that Forbes article. Let me load that up. A study done by London Economics International, again, Republicans embarrassing us on the international stage. A study done by London Economics International found that ERCOT kept its $9,000 per megawatt hour price in place for far too long. The study, which was paid for by Vistra Corp, one of the state's biggest electricity generators, concluded that the wholesale price was $6,000 per megawatt hour too high, and that it stayed too high for about 80 hours. Well, you might be thinking, wait a minute. What if he was just trying? What if he was just trying to stop people from using electricity, to stop the rolling blackouts? Furthermore, keeping the price at $9,000 per megawatt hour did not bring any more electricity supply onto the grid, a point that Magnus made during ERCOT's urgent board of directors meeting on February 24th, 2021. Although the LEI report did not provide a total cost estimate, consumers were likely overcharged by some $26.3 billion. That's from Robert Bryce of Forbes. Guys, I was being sarcastic when I said famous lefty rag earlier. Forbes is a far-right Republican propaganda magazine, essentially. When they are tearing into somebody that is a Republican, tearing into them this bad, it means it's because the facts are undeniable. It's because they don't want to lose their reputation of knowing what reality is. And this is how you address potential Republican voters. Why would you even consider voting for morons, incompetent fools like a Republican, ever, in any situation? School board? No. All Republicans are incompetent. They have no sense of how the world works. They don't live in it with you and me. They're not people. They're some sort of demon that we summoned into politics, whose only purpose is to run government badly. You can decide how you feel about them on a personal level in an unrelated forum in terms of who should run our government. Literally anybody except Republicans. Literally anybody on the earth except Republicans. A squirrel that's been taught to hold a pen will do a better job than a Republican. Just leaving the office empty will be better than if a Republican was there. You know those towns that have dog mayors? Literally, leaving the office empty is better than having a Republican. The dog mayor towns are run better than any place that has a Republican running it. Don't consider them for school board. Don't consider them for, frankly, any position. Don't consider them as county clerk, for God's sake, the traitors. Don't consider them for, I don't know, crossing guard, because they will accidentally get the children run over. People are embarrassed these days, embarrassed to be associated with Republicans, and they should be. It's an embarrassing thing to be a Republican. Literally, any Republican is a drain on America. Show me a place run by these monsters, and I will show you a place being run into the dirt. Have that attitude. That's your elevator pitch. It's 3 words. Republicans are incompetent. You can rattle off examples if you want. How about this? Florida just lost $1 billion investment from Disney because DeSantis is an evil fool. There. Republicans overpaid for electricity by $26 billion because Texas Governor Greg, I don't know why I said Republicans there, because Texas Governor Greg Abbott is an evil fool. He's an incompetent head that should be nowhere near the levers of power. In April, Disney filed a lawsuit against DeSantis that alleged the governor led a targeted campaign of government retaliation against the company. I'm quoting an article here. It accuses DeSantis of threatening the company's business and violating its constitutional rights, calling the government's actions patently retaliatory, patently anti-business, and patently unconstitutional. The cancellation is a major blow to Central Florida's economy. The jobs slated to be transferred to Florida included many highly paid theme park designers. I'm sorry I didn't do a card for that, but that was from Brandon Gerard of the Pensacola News-Journal. From the article, Disney pulled plug on $1 billion Florida project. You want the elevator pitch? An actual cloud. Here it is. Republicans are incompetent. Anyone saying they're considering voting for a Republican to run anything is admitting that they don't know how that thing works. Tell them that. Treat them like that. That doesn't mean treat them badly. That does not mean treat them badly. Just don't treat them with faux respect. If I came to you, walk up to you, and I start talking to you about driving, like, yeah, I drove my car here, and so I raised the mizzen, and I put the liquid that goes in the hole in the back, and I filled that up. I think I did a mix. I did some Sunny D and a little oil and just a bit of tang, so I could really get. You would know immediately that I didn't know what I was talking about. And the conversation would become about that. Like, wait, why are you lying to me about how you got here? You clearly didn't drive a car here. You didn't do any of those things you said. They have nothing to do with driving a car. Treat people who say they're considering voting for Republicans like that. I just read off a list of Republican mismanagement. You can do that for literally any Republican. Anybody who says that they want things run well, so they're voting for the people who are fucking clowns that never run anything well, is admitting they don't know how this stuff works. Treat them like that. Make it an embarrassing experience for them, but a healthy one. Not unlike a rectal exam. Gotta happen. Say, okay, so you want to vote for the space laser people. You want to vote for the people that ruin Texas's power grid. You're telling me maybe I'll vote for someone competent, or maybe I'll vote for the people that poisoned Flint's drinking water. Maybe I'll vote for the people that constantly crash the economy. Is that it? Maybe I'll vote for the people that chase business out of states. Is that what you're saying? Come on, man. Get real. So you don't really know how any of this. Okay, yeah. Look, I would just say don't vote for Republicans. They're not a serious choice. If you want to be serious about this, you're not even considering. They're a bunch of treacherous thieves. So don't pretend to me like you understand politics. If you're saying, well, I've been considering the Republicans. Yeah, okay, yeah. I really understand picnics. That's why I've been thinking about the ants. Really seeing what they say I should bring. You just That's your elevator pitch. Republicans are incompetent. Anyone who would consider voting for them doesn't know how the thing they're talking about works. Doesn't matter if it's school board, doesn't matter if it's president. They don't understand how it works, and they've exposed that by saying they're considering voting for Republicans. That emotional wound should echo with them for the rest of their days. I lay awake at night thinking about awkward things I've said on air that will forever haunt me. What should forever haunt them is that time they accidentally revealed that they were considering voting for a Republican. It's a shameful thing, and they should be shamed for it. That's a healthy thing, by the way. That's a thing you do out of love. Like you tell somebody if they've got food in their teeth, if you care about them not embarrassing themselves, you tell them it's an idiotic thing to consider voting for Republicans if you care about them embarrassing themselves. Oh, that's the wrong button.